The signal came without warning, just a crackle, then a pulse, faint but unmistakable. Commander Ellie's reins froze mid-sentence on the command deck of the HSS Resolute. Around her, the bridge crew straightened, screens flaring to life with the pale red hue of a Priority Zero alert. Only one protocol triggered that alert, and it hadn't been heard in over 3 centuries. "Source?" Elise asked, her voice calm, measured. Lieutenant Ortiz didn't answer immediately. He was staring at the transmission feed, his eyes wide with disbelief. "It's Terran Emergency Protocol 7, confirmed by triple checksum. Origin coordinates, outer Orion Cygnus rim." "That can't be right," said her XO, Commander Frey. "There are no human colonies out there. Nothing but dead space and fringe ruins." Elise stepped forward, watching the beacon signal repeat every 20 seconds in an old military cadence. "SOS. Immediate assistance. Civilian casualties." The frequency signature was older than anything the current fleet used, old enough to predate the Unification Accords. "Put it on audio." The bridge fell silent. Then came the haunting, static-laced voice. Not human. Distorted. Broken. But within it, the coded pattern of an ancient Terran distress call was unmistakable. "This is Arcturus Relay 7. Requesting aid. Multiple life forms in danger. We require Terran intervention. Repeat, we require." The message ended abruptly, as if yanked offline mid-sentence. The lights dimmed for a moment as the ship's AI updated protocols and alert statuses. "AI confirms signal authentication," Ortiz added, recovering. "It's real. Old, but real." Ellie's jaw tightened. She had studied the Protocol 7 files at the Academy. It was only to be activated in galaxy-scale emergencies, existential threats where conventional diplomacy failed and humanity was the last answer. Yet here it was, coming from nowhere, from silence. "Send a ping to Fleet Command. Highest encryption. Relay the coordinates. Then scramble the rapid response wing. All captains to battle-ready stations." The bridge crew sprang into motion. Elise turned to Frey. "If this is a trap, it's one hell of an elaborate one." Frey frowned. Or someone just woke up something buried for 300 years. 20 minutes later, Ellie stood before the main display wall in the Fleet Operations Chamber. 5 other captains had joined via secure holographic link, each nodding in silent agreement as the signal replayed again. "Why now?" asked Captain Marlowe of the Ajax. "This frequency has been dead longer than most of our grandparents have been alive." "No idea," Elise replied. "But the code's clean, and someone out there knew the exact pattern to activate it. That narrows it down." "Or widens it," muttered Frey beside her. "Anyone with access to ancient Terran archives could have reconstructed the signal. The real question is whether they expected us to come." "We always come," Ellie said, her voice firm. "That's the weight of Protocol 7. No matter who, no matter where, if the beacon is lit, we answer." There was a pause. Then Captain Isha of the Swordfall leaned forward. "So what's the play?" Elise brought up a holographic projection of the Orion Cygnus frontier. The coordinates hovered above a desolate star system labeled Vyararishtal 214. No known civilizations. No shipping routes. One faint planetary remnant and an orbital debris field. "We jump in low and hard. 2 capital ships and 3 support cruisers. The Resolute leads the formation. We investigate, confirm status, and respond as necessary. If it's a trick, we are ready. If it's real, someone out there is dying." The room agreed without a vote. Protocol 7 needed no approval. Hours later, deep in FTL transit, Ellie stood alone in her quarters, staring at a black-and-white photo tucked behind the edge of her console screen. Her parents, both diplomats, smiled back at her, frozen in a memory decades old. They had died in the Demirian peace incident, an ambush masked by diplomacy, a false olive branch. She had been 12. She'd built her career on never forgetting. Her personal comms pinged. Approaching drop zone, came Ortiz's voice. ETA, 30 seconds. She slipped the photo back, face cold, eyes focused. The stars snapped into clarity as the Resolute tore out of FTL. Before them lay a broken world, half a planet, cracked open like a burnt fruit. Above it, in a low orbit, floated a silent orbital platform wrapped in fragmented scaffolding and scorched metal. A dim red beacon pulsed from its core, barely alive. No power signatures, Frey reported. Stations running on residual reserves. No signs of active life. Signal still offline. Elise asked. Dead silent since the initial burst. Like someone turned it off the moment we came close. Her instincts screamed. Launch probes. Begin full spectrum scans. Prepare envoy team. Standard diplomatic protocols. Frey gave her a look. Still going peaceful. Until proven otherwise, Elise said. We answer with honor. He didn't argue. As shuttles detached from the Resolute and coasted toward the station, Ellie stood at the front viewport, hands clasped behind her back. The silence of the dead world below gnawed at her. This place, it's not right, Frey said quietly beside her. Something here remembers war. She nodded. Then let's hope they remember what happens when you lie to us. The red beacon blinked once more, then went out. Black. Silent. Waiting. The docking clamps on the lead shuttle hissed as they latched onto the derelict orbital platform. Beyond the airlock, the structure loomed like a mausoleum, dark, silent, and half dismantled. Faded markings in an alien script lined the entryway, some scorched by old plasma burnser, others smeared with something darker. Commander Elise Rains watched the team's helmet feeds from the bridge of the Resolute, arms crossed. The station felt wrong. Not hostile. Not abandoned. Just prepared. All teams, audio and video are live, reported Ortiz. External radiation levels are stable. No biological threats detected yet. Keep weapons primed, Elise said. We don't assume peace until we see proof of it. Inside the station, Captain Vega led the 5-member envoy team through a dim corridor lit only by their suit lights. Dust hung in the air like ash. Everything looked staged. Not worn or collapsed, arranged. As if someone wanted it to look forgotten. Reading some movement deeper in, Vega said through the link. Non-human biosignatures. They're not hiding. Elise narrowed her eyes. Be ready for contact. The first figures appeared just outside the control ring. Tall, robed aliens with elongated cranial ridges and skin like hammered bronze. They stood still, hands open, unarmed. Their leader stepped forward with deliberate grace. I am Vailrin, overseer of Vyararishtal station, he said in accented English. We received your signal response. Welcome, Terrans. Elise listened silently from the bridge, expression unreadable. Vega replied with protocol. Your station activated a Terran Emergency Protocol 7 beacon. That signal is sacred. Why? Vailrin inclined his head, face smooth. The beacon was dormant. One of our engineers found it buried in the substructure. When rebel forces attacked the nearby colonies, we believed the system might call help. We did not know it's still connected to Earth. A lie. Polished and rehearsed. Ellie's gut tightened. She could smell the manipulation in his words, the way he dropped rebels and engineer to blur the trail. It didn't match the station's age or its condition, and it definitely didn't explain the specific coding of Protocol 7. I don't like this, Frey said beside her, voice low. It's too smooth. Prep second wave Marines, she replied. Covert loadout. Have them shadow the envoy from the outer dock. Ortiz looked up. You are expecting a hit? No. I'm expecting a show. 30 minutes later, the diplomat team sat at a long obsidian table inside the central audience hall of the station. The Vajrarechtal offered refreshments, ceremonial, untouched. Whalerin continued to spin the story: rebels, accidental activations, structural decay. And then, in mid-conversation, the lights flickered. Ortiz's voice cracked over the bridge. Ma'am, unauthorized data spike from the station. Someone's hacking our low-bandwidth channels. Cut external feeds. Now. Too late. Every major galactic relay lit up. The broadcast opened with a live feed of a human technician, young, bleeding, and strapped upright to a crude steel frame. His face was bruised, one eye swollen shut. Behind him, the Vajrarechtal emblem glowed blood-red. Whalerin's voice had vanished from the hall. The envoy team, still seated, watched in frozen horror as the broadcast shifted to audio. Observe the Terran response to weakness. A new voice growled, deeper, older. Not Whalerin. Witness their arrogance, their decay, their misplaced pride. Let this one be an example. A masked figure stepped into view. Without hesitation, he drew a serrated blade and slashed it across the technician's chest. The human screamed. Then the feed cut to black. Elise stood still as stone. Silence choked the bridge. No one spoke. Then the technician's ID came through. Galen Hurst, age 26, civilian comm specialist, second wave landing party. They took him alive before the station response protocol hit. Frey muttered. Used our own people as bait. They planned it, Ellie said, voice low but steady. The beacon wasn't an accident. It was a lure. She turned to Ortiz. Open a wideband fleet channel. All ships. No encryption. Ortiz hesitated. Ma'am. Do it. A moment later, her voice carried across every deck of the Terran fleet. This is Commander Elise Rains. The Vajrarechtal Dominion has committed a direct act of war. Under false pretense, they lured our people into a trap, tortured our citizens, and broadcasted it as propaganda. She paused, letting the silence press in. We came to answer a call for help. They answered us with blood. We will not ask for peace. We will not seek diplomacy. Not today. Her eyes never left the frozen still of Galen Hurst's terrified face on the bridge monitor. Effective immediately, the Resolute enters code black. All vessels prepare for tactical engagement. No civilian targets. No mercy for armed resistance. We respond in kind. Frey exhaled, jaw tight. That's going to change the Council's stance. It won't matter, Elise replied. By the time they finish debating, we'll already be fire and memory. She turned to Ortiz. Pull the envoy out, quietly, and deploy the Marines. And the broadcast. Leave it up, she said. Let the galaxy watch. On the platform, the Vajrarechtal hosts suddenly grew distant, cold, evasive, withdrawing without explanation. The lights dimmed. Doors began to lock behind the Terran delegation. Vega's voice crackled through the fleet net. They're sealing the chambers. No resistance, but something's wrong. Evac route clear? Elise asked. Just cleared. We're moving. Fast. She nodded. Get them out. We'll cover from orbit. The bridge filled with controlled chaos. Tactical screens updated. Weapon pods spun into launch position. Defense grids cycled to hot. As the first dropships launched from the Resolute, Ellie stared out the main viewport at the platform still drifting like a spider's web. A trap, now sprung. They had wanted to test humanity's strength, to poke the sleeping wolf. And now, they'd learned the cost of waking it. The Resolute pulsed with silent, deadly energy. Inside its armored hull, hundreds of crew members moved in sync, each trained, each ready. Code Black wasn't just a protocol, it was a promise. A line burned into the soul of every Terran officer. If you betray one of ours, you will never recover from what follows. Commander Ellie's reins stood at the tactical display as red icons representing enemy platforms blinked into focus across the orbit of YRRH Tal 214. Behind her, engineers, gunnery officers, and comms personnel worked with laser focus. This wasn't a battle. It was a judgment. Status of the fleet. Ellis asked without turning. 5 ships in strike position, reported Ortiz. 2 more are approaching flanking vectors. All weapons locked. Awaiting your order. Commander Frey joined her, helmet in hand. Marines have secured the envoy. 0 casualties. They're inbound. Ellis gave a curt nod. Good. Let's ensure we don't lose anyone else. The screen flickered. Surveillance probes fed in real-time video of the platform. Tiny YRRH ships scrambled from its underbelly, swarming like startled insects. Their engines glowed, but their formation was chaotic. They weren't expecting us to act this fast, Frey muttered. They thought we'd beg for answers, Ellis replied. They forgot who we are. The first strike was surgical. Rail cannons from the Ajax ripped through one of the platform's power conduits, triggering a chain reaction across its energy grid. Sparks arsed. Whole sections of the structure crumpled inward before venting into the void. Ellis watched it in silence. Enemy responding, Ortiz said. Frantic comms traffic. They're demanding we stand down and open negotiations. No response, Ellis said. The second barrage came from the Swordfall, a focused EMP burst that fried the remaining communication relays on the station. The signal went dark. No more broadcasts. No more staged performances. Now, it was humanity's turn to speak. Dropships are away, Frey said. Target, Command Dome. Estimated time to breach, 3 minutes. Send the second wave to the lower reactor core, Ellis said. We are not just removing leadership. We are stripping their ability to rebuild. Ortiz hesitated. Ma'am, that'll cripple every support node in this sector. Civilian outposts included. If they used civilian proximity as a shield, she said coldly, they accepted the risk. Galen Hurst lay on a medbay stretcher aboard the Resolute's recovery bay. His breathing was shallow, chest bound in thick foam sealant. Burns covered half his torso. His left hand trembled involuntarily. Ellis stepped into the room quietly. The doctor gave her a quick nod and left without a word. She sat beside the young technician, silent at first. He turned his head slightly, recognition flickering through the hedge. I'm sorry, he rasped. Ellis leaned forward. You have nothing to be sorry for. They knew the code, he murmured. They didn't just find it. Someone taught them how to trigger it. Ellis' throat tightened. Did you see who? Galen nodded weakly. He called himself the Archregent. Skolvar. Said the galaxy feared humans, but no one had seen if we still deserved that fear. He closed his eyes. They wanted proof. Ellis returned to the bridge with a new fire in her step. Ortiz, transmit to the fleet. New objective, locate Skolvar. I want him alive, but unconscious is fine. Frey arched an eyebrow. Alive. He'll be more useful that way. The galaxy needs to hear him admit what he did. Or see him silenced in chains, Frey said. Ellis didn't argue. One objective doesn't cancel the other. On the surface of the station, Terran Marines moved with brutal precision. Powered armor glinted under the glow of emergency lights. Breach charges were placed, doors shredded, resistance silenced. Inside the command dome, The remaining Vajrarechtal officers tried to coordinate. One yelled for reinforcements. Another broadcasted distress signals in a dozen languages. None were answered. Captain Vega's voice rang clear through the fleet channel. Command center is neutralized. No sign of Skolvar. Most staff fled deeper into shielded chambers. Seal every exit. Force them out or trap them in, Ellis ordered. We don't leave pieces behind. A second Marine detachment reported success at the reactor level. The power grid was in human control. The platform, once a hub of hidden operations, was now a hollow shell, its secrets exposed. High above, in the vacuum of space, the remaining Vajrarechtal vessels powered down, engines flickering. They had seen enough. One by one, they engaged emergency retreat protocols, jumping out system with tails between their legs. Ortiz smirked, scattering like they saw ghosts. Frey didn't smile. No. They saw something worse. They saw us. Hours later, the debris field glowed with residual heat. Every major tactical objective had been completed. Civilian records aboard the station confirmed what Galen said. This wasn't random. It was sanctioned. Funded. Skolvar wasn't just a rogue actor. He was the highest-ranking military official in the Dominion's outer sectors. He'd baited the beacon deliberately. We'll find him, Ellis said. And when we do, it won't just be Terrans watching. It'll be the whole galaxy. Frey looked at her. You planning to take this to the Council? I won't need to, she replied. The broadcast's already gone viral on 16 systems, including his confession. Still, Frey said, you think they'll listen? Ellie's voice dropped. They will now. She turned to the viewport. The orbital station, once so carefully designed to lure Terran compassion, now hung in pieces, drifting and dark. And far beyond it, the stars burned silently, witnesses to everything. The Dominion Council chamber was a cathedral of arrogance, towering crystal pillars, levitating seats of power, and a planetary view beneath transparent flooring. Every species sat in silence, watching the hologram suspended at the center. It was Skolvar. Captured footage from the Resolute's databanks showed him standing over a restrained human child, smirking as he triggered the ancient Terran distress beacon. His voice echoed across systems now. Let's see if the myths are true. Let's see if the monsters wake up. No one spoke. Not the insectoid Varn emissaries, not the scaled Jurthi clanlords, not even the notoriously loudmouthed Nephrons. Humanity had responded, and left ashes behind. In the shadows above, the human delegation remained standing. No seats. No ceremony. Commander Elise Rains faced the council alone. Beside her, Ambassador Jules Rice stood rigid, hands clasped behind his back, jaw clenched. We received your message, Rice began. But too late. Too late for the child tortured as bait. Too late for the 10 civilians used as shields. Too late for decency. Elise scanned the chamber. You knew. Murmurs stirred, but no one denied it. You knew Skolvar had gone rogue. You let him poke the dragon, hoping it would sleep through it. Councillor Narthan, a crystalline-bodied leader of the Threll, finally spoke. You were not invited into this conflict. Skolvar's actions, though regrettable, did not authorize a full military incursion. Regrettable. Elise echoed. He used our own emergency code to lure a fleet here. He staged executions. And you're worried we didn't ask permission to save our own. A flicker of silence again. Councillor Izzara of the Lithari gestured slowly. Commander, there are geopolitical complexities. We must preserve the balance. Rice stepped forward. Let me be clear. There was balance when you left humanity alone. You disrupted that balance. We didn't respond out of anger. We responded out of contract. Code Black is binding. Another councillor leaned forward. You claim legality. Yet you shattered a trade station. You disabled hundreds of satellites. And prevented thousands of future casualties. Elise cut in. Because we finished what you were too cowardly to confront. A quiet beep came from her wrist pad. A new message. Skolvar located. Location. Outer Sarthne Drift. A neutral territory. No protections. No jurisdiction. She closed her pad without blinking. Hours later, the Resolute slipped into the Sarthne Drift. No ceremonial entry. No diplomatic flags. Just quiet engines and a predator's patience. The station known as Drift Heaven floated amid frozen wreckage and Piratean trade lines. Its legal status was a mess, run by independents, protected by bribes, known for housing criminals that even the Dominion wouldn't acknowledge. Frey met Elise on the observation deck. "You sure it's him?" he asked. "I verified the biometric scan myself. He's using the name Wayne Toker, surrounded by mercs." Frey glanced at the ship's silent battle group trailing behind like sharks. "No extraction team." "No. This one's mine." Inside Drift Heaven, the bar was a swirl of bad jazz and worse company. Skolvar sat in a darkened booth, his sleek armor replaced by civilian leathers, one arm draped around a bored-looking synthetic companion. A glass of umber fluid rested beside his holopad. He wasn't hiding. He thought it was over. Then Elise sat across from him. He froze. "No bodyguards?" she asked. "Disappointing." "Commander Rains," he said slowly, "I heard you might still be angry. You should be in chains." "I expected worse," he said, swirling his drink. "But I also know the Council won't touch me. Dominion bureaucracy moves slower than species evolve. That's why I didn't bring them." His brow twitched. "I gave them the chance," Elise said. "They chose silence. So I'll give them what they earned. None." "You were threatening me." Skolvar leaned back. "No, I'm delivering judgment." She reached beneath her coat and placed the sealed black drive on the table. "Every system in this quadrant has this now. Your war crimes, your confession, your whole network of collaborators. All public. You won't be hunted by governments, just everyone else." Skolvar's face paled. "You leaked classified material." "Terrans don't classify war crimes. We expose them." His voice rose. "You've condemned me to death." "No," Elise said, rising. "You did that the day you hurt a human child and thought no one would come." As she left the booth, the bar quieted. People watched. Dozens of eyes. Some calculating. Some hungry. Skolvar glanced at the data drive. Then at the crowd. Then he knew. Back aboard the Resolute, Frey met her on the bridge. "Done." "Very." "Extraction." "No need." He nodded. The crew heard. "Good." Outside, the stars glowed coldly as Drift Heaven shrank behind them. Later that evening, Ellie stood alone in her quarters. No medals. No celebrations. Just the lingering scent of ozone and old coffee. She stared out the viewport, thinking of the child who would trigger the beacon. Of Galen Hurst, still healing. Of the silence from the council chambers. There would be no apology. But maybe that was fine. Because they'd been reminded. Humanity doesn't knock twice. The Dominion was silent. Not in speech, no. The council chambers still buzzed with interstellar politics, but in posture. Where once emissaries spoke over one another in arrogance, now they measured their words. Humanity had come when no one else dared, and more importantly, they had left on their own terms. Commander Elise Rains walked the narrow corridor of the Resolute's medical deck. The lights were dim, the hum of machinery steady. She paused outside room Shune Char. A small figure sat by the window, gazing at the stars. Galen Hurst turned his head slowly as the door opened. His eyes were less afraid now. "They said you were busy," he whispered. "I was," Ellie said gently. "But not anymore." He nodded. "Was it him?" "Yes. He won't hurt anyone else." "Did he die?" She hesitated. "He will." Galen said nothing, only looked back at the stars. "Good." Elise sat beside him. "They told me humans used to be alone," he said. "That no one came for us." "We've always been alone, in a way," she replied. "But that's what makes our promise different." "What promise?" "That we come anyway." News of Skolvar's demise didn't come through official channels. It didn't need to. The broadcast Elise had released, his crimes, his confession, his location, rippled across black markets, military archives, and neutral relay stations. Someone found him. Or many did. No body was ever confirmed, but Drift Heaven Central Plaza burned for 3 days. Within a week, 12 members of his inner circle were dead. Within a month, the entire mercenary ring tied to his operations vanished. And throughout it all, no one blamed humanity. No sanctions. No demands. Not even a formal complaint. Just silence. Waited. Nervous. The galaxy had learned a rule that humans had etched into history with blood. If you harm our own, we don't negotiate. We remember. Ambassador Jules Rice delivered the final message to the Dominion personally. The chamber sat tensely as he ascended the central podium. No entourage. No armed guards. Just him and a single datastic. He spoke plainly. "You asked for clarification on humanity's position in galactic affairs. This is it." He uploaded a document. Brief, precise. Declaration of conditional intervention. Humanity will not join your alliances. Humanity will not police your borders. Humanity will not govern your disputes. But if the innocent cry out in our name, and you fail to act, we will come. Not for diplomacy, not for conquest, but for justice. We will come once, and you will never ask again. There were no questions after. The Resolute returned to Earth to a quiet, respectful welcome. No parades. No grand announcements. Just families waiting on the docks and hushed gratitude that things hadn't escalated into full war. Elise found herself at the shoreline of San Andreas Base, walking along the coast. Salt on the breeze, gulls calling in the distance. Frey joined her, two coffees in hand. He offered one. "I still hate politics," he muttered. She smirked. "You wore a suit yesterday." Under duress. They sipped in silence. "Do you think they'll retaliate?" he asked finally. "No," she said. "Not openly. They're scared. But not just of our ships." "Then what?" "Our memory. The fact that we don't let things go." He nodded. "The kid's going to make it, by the way. He wants to become a pilot." "Good." Months passed. Pirate activity dropped 40% in disputed systems. Smuggling routes, once crawling with criminal syndicates, fell eerily quiet. Outer colonies reported sudden visits from Dominion patrols, now strangely attentive to civilian safety. It wasn't guilt. It was fear. Fear that the humans might be watching. And then came the second signal. Different quadrant. Different species. SAM code, Terran Emergency Protocol SAT. This time from a mining colony of the Ivanti, a quiet, herbivorous race notorious for avoiding all conflict. Ellie stood in the Resolute's war room, staring at the transmission. "No way they have that code by accident," Frey said. "They don't," Rice confirmed. "It's a plea." From the shadows, Admiral Tiran, Earth's defense director, entered silently. "Well." Elise looked around the room. No one needed to say it. She turned to the HFY AI. Plot a course. Tiran raised an eyebrow. Permission to engage. No. This isn't war, Ellie said, her voice steady. It's legacy. As the fleet departed once more, silence swept across the stars. But this time, it wasn't fear. It was expectation. Because when humanity comes, they bring fire, but they also bring something more dangerous. Hope. And the galaxy had begun to whisper. If you are desperate, call the humans, but be ready. They only answer once.